it's not threaded in on this side. The threads are actually on the left side here. And this is the square taper. So spin backwards. There's a ratchet mechanism. However, spinning forward, there's a lot of resistance, so it looks like it's turning the whole motor. So if you don't plug in the battery or even maybe turn it on, there's going to be a lot of resistance. And that's kind of unfortunate because I was hoping that I could still use this motor on the trike and spin with the motor off and still get a workout on a indoor platform. So I mentioned earlier to get this motor for a friend, and I would have opted for the rear wheel motor. However, with 100 millimeter, 130 millimeter rear dropouts, I couldn't find a motor that was suitable for 130 millimeter road bike rear chain stays. This is the right. Yes, this is the right side. And take a look closely here. And when you spin forward, this whole part right here turns. It's probably connected to the motor down in this area right here, so it's real hard to turn and it won't spin freely. If it sits on your bike, it should be like this with the motor part on the bottom, keeping a lower center of gravity, and this shaft portion going through the bottom bracket of the bicycle. The overall length from here to here is about 89 millimeters, and the 68 millimeter bottom bracket should be here 68, about right here to the footrest, to here, to this end. This is definitely not light, so let's see if I can put all this onto the scale here and see 18.5 inches. And this does look like an original equipment Bafang because it says Bafang here. Other companies put their little logo here. So I'm glad it just says Bafang. Looks pretty nice. And I was going to show you, there's some mounts here. This is on the non-drive side. There are 2 screws here where you could fit a torque arm. So it mounts here, then it connects to part of the frame, and it's optional. For an example, this is a Utah Trike's torque arm, and it just slides over the bottom bracket area, and it clamps on right there, so it prevents the motor from swaying back and forth when you accelerate. Here the cable's coming out of the motor. It's like a cable that goes to the battery. This is probably for the
guys, it's crazy, right?
This goes to like a wire thing.
So I don't know if I should take this part off.
3-prong.
Take this part off and get it ready for the new one that's coming.
Here is 4 feet and
Just
2
leave it
inches,
sitting
or
there.
about
I think they're gonna send me a new
127
gasket too.
centimeters. Then there is an additional few inches, or not too much. Say about 6 inches, or about 16 centimeters from here to.
This is what the controller looks like.
Right here.
And it has these wires, right? One goes to the battery, which is these 2 right here. This is the controller lead right here, goes to the battery. And it has these other cables that one goes to this. When the wheel turns, this magnet like picks it up right here. This magnet right here comes in connection right there.
Here are the cables. I believe this green one is for the display.
And one, I believe, goes up to the display.
Maybe for brake sensors. I'm not sure.
that.
And we have another one.
The computer.
I'm not certain yet.
And I do need another one of these because one side of it broke.
We have the throttle here, the cable, the battery. This looks actually like a square bottom bracket removal. This is the installation tool. We have the crank arms, the wiring harness. That's what I'll call it. And some zip ties.
So guys, I might just try to slide it back in because
here's a close look at
I
the
want to
speed
leave the
sensor.
part open.
This is the magnet for the speed sensor. And as others may have complained on Amazon, there is a
I'm just gonna stick it back in the
See, some proprietary starting
socket
with a hole in it.
place. I don't know if that's what you want to call it.
So there's no
That's what
cable
I'm
coming
calling
out of it, and this goes all the way
socket
to your
place.
wheel. This portion is what connects to it, so there's some grooves here, and inside here are some other grooves, and it
So like I said before, you got your blue wire.
inside like this,
Make sure
and
it's
a smaller
snapped together.
black screw will possibly
You have your yellow lead.
come into here and tighten
you
that
have your
down, it's going to
green
lock it into place once you find out the distance from the fork.
Let me
You
try
want
this
this
spot.
next to your wheel. The length of this throttle cable from here all to the tip is 19 inches, so keep that in mind depending on where you want to mount the throttle. It is spring loaded, so it comes back and it goes about this far from 0 engagement to full throttle.
Kind of gentle.
And I
So
like
I'm
it
sorry
kind of
I
on my
pulled
left
this way.
thumb area, and so you can mount it on your handlebars like this and just push it down for the throttle. They have a kind of a miniature kind of torque arm that relies on this to either bite into your frame, so I wouldn't use this. I'm going to use a different torque arm. 2 bolts here, 5 of these
Kinda hard to get it from
colored
this
ones. And this one has Loctite, I don't know
No,
why. Oh,
I
and
think I
Loctite on
gotta
this
pull
side
these
too.
ones first.
And we have
So
2
that
lock
this
rings
bend appendix.
on the end here. This one probably goes in first.
Probably gonna need a
And
pliers.
tightening, and this is probably the end cap version that goes in at the very end of tightening in the crank. It says 25 to 30 newton meters and tightening to the right. I don't have a square tapered bar,
I don't wanna mess up my
but this
bike
is to
now.
remove it or to pull the cranks off, possibly. Finally, we get to see what's inside the package. Here, I requested brake sensors rather than the levers themselves, so they are in here.
Really cold out
I
there.
have an additional, I also purchased an
So
additional
hard to get.
battery cable, so that's there. This is the 46 tooth chain ring, and this is the 500C bicycle display. So these gear sensors get attached
This is
to the
really
brake
buckling
levers,
when
and then when you pull the levers
You
and
just gotta
move
go with
away,
it. Just
it
keep
pulls away
trying.
from the magnet. And it's slightly magnetic, so it detects it a little bit. On the back side, it's also some
See, and when you
sticky
can't
tape
get it, take a
to
break.
attach to your brake levers. And it is 70
You know what,
centimeters
guys?
from here to here, or 27.5 inches. So this is quite
What it is these pins sticking out.
the
You
chain
just gotta
here
get them
has
in
5
there.
holes, so that probably explains the 5 bolts that we saw earlier. It's probably the model number S192 by 46 teeth.
But if you
This
break one
chain
of them
is
pins,
heavy at 534 grams.
you don't want to bend them either.
This cable is 36 inches, so less than a meter from here to here. And this right side is an XT60. And this is a female to appears to be a male Anderson connection on this end. Here's a look at the connections. Here's a look at the 500C display. And it looks like there's only one connection here. Some of the other displays have 2 holes, so it just has one on this left side here. Because it's not connected to the battery, it can't be
These
turned
hard
on.
guys.
But there is a power switch, and this turns on the whole system. This looks like M for mode. That's the minus and plus for different speeds. And on the back here, it says 500C name and camera and some other information there. There aren't any spacers here, and it looks like it's got a handlebar for approximately 22 millimeters. Put this over here, about 22 millimeters. So it won't fit those, may not fit those big 31.8 millimeter bars on the closer to the stem area. Also here it's fixed, so if you'd have to mount it like this, you can't turn this the opposite way to mount it on a stem. So keep that also in mind if you get this 500C. Cable here from the very end to this part right here is only 1 foot 12 inches long. So keep that in mind if If you are mounting this in a location that requires a longer reach, you may need an extension, and if